I found out who owns Sriracha and Sweet Baby Ray's. I was at Winco doing what I do. We've been playing this game where if you're owned by a big corporation, you get colored in. But if you're owned by the family of the founder and such, like Arizona Iced Tea, you get to keep your colors. So what about the sauce? We'll go fast today and pick up right where we left off in the last video. Kraft Heinz is purple. And that's because although they are largely owned by the big three, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Warren Buffett owns the shit out of Kraft Heinz. Orange is generic store brand, which is just made by the same big corporations. And right here, red is Hunt's. That's because Hunt's is owned by Conagra Brands. Conagra Brands is mostly owned by Vanguard and BlackRock. So if your sheet looks like this, you get red. We got some Louisiana Fish Fry, which is owned by private equity. Beaverton is family founded and owned for 4 generations. We got some McCormick is the red up top, giant corporation. We got some Heinz, and then we got some store brand up there too. I actually can't read what that pink sauce is next to the Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A is a privately owned company, and y'all know about Chick-fil-A. I ain't touching Chick-fil-A. The $1 million question, who owns Sweet Baby Ray's? Well, let's back up and do the rest of the barbecue sauce too. Hot sauce and barbecue sauce. Spicy. Start by coloring in all the Kraft Heinz and the store brands up top and stuff we already knew down at the end there. Got Famous Dave's down there. Famous Dave's is apparently owned by MTY Franchising, and the NASDAQ, I'm pretty sure the NASDAQ is just Google having a seizure. NASDAQ don't own no barbecue sauce. MTY is owned by Stanley Ma, and he runs a shitload of businesses. So we'll color this all in orange for private equity, more or less. Man, we got a lot of little sauces to deal with right here. How about Stubbs? You know about Stubbs? Guy in the bottle is actually Stubbs, but the guy paying the bills is actually McCormick, which is a giant corporation. That would be McCormick right there. So Stubbs is red. Oh shit, I spilled the beans. If you were paying attention, you just found out that A1 steak sauce is owned by Kraft Heinz, as is the Worcestershire sauce brand. Kinder's barbecue sauce was super hard to research, but I finally figured out that their old CEO, Raniero, eventually, when he realized he couldn't scale up their little restaurant business to the way that they were trying to scale, he bought out all the products and the intellectual property associated with the company. And Raniero is still the CEO of Kinder, as well as his own little private equity situation. They're no longer family owned when you're buying that barbecue sauce. So now you got Stubbs is red, and Kinder here and here is orange for private equity. Tabasco is still family owned. Damn straight. This little section of World Harbor sauces you've never heard of, they're owned by something called Mizcan. Kind of like Asian private equity. Oh, and then we got Frank's Red Hot. Frank's Red Hot is McCormick and Company. Oh, I also colored in Laurie's because that's also McCormick and Company. I know, we're gonna get to Sweet Baby Ray's in just a second, but lastly we gotta deal with this little tiny little section of organic stuff right there. That led me to here, which led me to here. Apparently an employee-owned company. I don't know if employee-owned is all it's cracked up to be, but it's not a giant corporation and not owned by BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. So what the hell, I'm tired of coloring things in, we'll leave it be. All right, time to break your little hearts about Sweet Baby Ray's. We haven't seen PepsiCo in a long time. Nah, I'm just playing. That ain't PepsiCo. Sweet Baby Ray's was family founded, and then they sold it to Ken's Foods in 2005 for a cool $30 million. We just met Ken's in the salad aisle because Ken's Foods is still run by the founders and their families. I mean, it ain't no tiny local brand anymore, but at least it's not a mega corporation. Well, fun fact, in 2022, MASH did a survey of 700 people, and half of them chose Sweet Baby Ray's as their favorite barbecue sauce. The second place sauce only got 15%. Of course, the secret is corn syrup. Oh shit, I almost forgot to tell you about Sriracha, dude. Sriracha is owned by Huy Fong Foods, originally created in 1980 by David Tran. And who owns Huy Fong Foods? That's right, the Tran family. So all the hot, spicy red and brown sauces actually got a little bit of diversity going on. You got some choices. Seems like the winners out here are Tabasco, Sweet Baby Ray's, and Sriracha. You're welcome. You may now have a clear conscience while you eat your brown corn syrup.